Happy Monday, everybody. Um, just thought I'd chime in here real quick because it's a Monday. I'm getting ready for work, but um, feeling kind of inspired. Something's been on my mind the last couple of days. But more than that, please like, share, subscribe if you feel that this is adding some value or quality to your life. Over the weekend, I was reminded about just how difficult it is when life shows up in your situation. For me, the first and foremost thing that I go to is who do I believe in? Where's my faith at? Do I believe in God, um, Allah, Jehovah, Jah Rastafari, or even myself, or at an even lower level, do I believe in the people that have surrounding me? Like I'm always an advocate of your associations will either build you up or tear you down, but more so than that, it's never what anybody tells you in your associate those who you associate with, but what do you tell yourself? Do you believe the lies on what you're telling yourself? Shit today is never easy. If anything, over the last 30 years, things have been even more baffling, confusing. People are not dedicated, they're not committed to anything. But the real question is never about what anybody else does, but what are you doing? If for it's like this. For case in point, I like to tell everybody, if you don't think that anybody believes in you, well, I do. And that's a stark cry from who I used to be because I was my own worst enemy. I treated myself way worse than anybody would ever treat me. Well, I would ever allow to treat me because I just thought I was going to live most of my life on my thug thistle. You know, uh, Dealing with the consequences of those actions or that mindset or you know where my thinking was at any certain time. I allow my emotions about any given situation define my consequences. And you know what? Today, I would prefer to have some say in my life as opposed to not making a decision or allowing people, places, and things or certain situations define me in no certain way. Man, easier said than done. But you know what? In the last 7 years, I just reached a place where I just really don't care about the outcomes. I can't really worry about that, which I can control. The only thing that I can control is how I respond to certain given situations. And when life shows up in my situation, I got to remember that some things are way out of my control, and I let God deal with that because I have based upon my past experiences, a lot of times I am unable to deal with certain things as they pop up unless I'm willing to deal with them emotionally, put them in a certain place. Are they within my control? Or are they out of my control? If they're out of my control, there's nothing I can do about it but just deal with it. Never running from it because that what you don't deal with just grows and grows and grows till to a degree. At least in my case, it would get so overwhelming and emotionally consuming that I didn't know how to process that. But in the process of dealing with things as situations as they pop up, I just found a novel way of dealing with it. It's not easy, but if I don't ever start, I'm never going to be able to finish. So today, it's like I reached a point, which I'm so grateful for, is that when things happen, I could just say, are they really important? Is it really crucial? Is it really worth me giving my own personal power to something that I can't control? And I think one of our main, in society at large, I think one of our main issues is people. Who doesn't want to be accepted? Who doesn't want to be validated? But at the end of the day, I have to validate my own feelings, my own emotions, and I can look back over the yardstick of my last 7 years. But if I go back prior to 7 years, prior to 2012, man, I didn't do anything until 2012 forward. So why don't I look at what I've been doing as a form of validation as opposed to looking for some validation in the next motherfucker? My validation today is not what I have, but is what I've done. What am I willing to do? Am I willing to lend my hand out to somebody who's struggling or suffering? Yes, I am. Because I found out that selfless act gives me a certain amount of emotional clarity. It erases my emotional IQ because if I can help somebody overcome a certain obstacle or situation or even a problem, I can see that there's a certain way on how I could take that and apply it to myself. I'm like a thief. I'm always stealing little nuggets of information or part of the process because I'm a process person. And I also believe in when you have that process, there's a certain perspective that holds that process up, and it enables the individual to just reach a certain point of your thinking and your how you embrace certain situations to where your resolve is a lot more crystal clear. I never had crystal clarity. I used to always hear about it, but I never knew what it was. But now that I find myself in it, I find out it's one of the best things that I actually do for myself. When I'm every day when I wake up, I'm blessed to have the ability to wake up because so many people don't have that ability. Like a good part of mine was he was gunned down a couple weeks ago right there, sitting in the car with his lady in South Central, and but he was all about that life. So the consequences for your actions is always going to be consistent to that what you're putting into your life. If you don't put nothing into it, or if you're exhibiting certain actions, well, the consequences are going to be consistent with that. You know, um, I don't want that for myself. I like to see myself as never going backwards, but going forward because what keeps me going is what's coming around the corner. I don't know what's coming around the corner, so me not trying to control the future it's a great process for me because it allows me to just keep on going with it no matter what life throws my way. To 2019, I said in January was a year of faith for me, and a month later it was tested, and each month it got desperately worse, to the point to where it started holding me hostage. But what it did was it gave me the ability to start changing my perspective up. It started allowing me to see things from a different purview or prism, and as a result, you know, my approach to my life today is completely different than it was last year because if I'm not growing, that means I'm stagnant or I'm going backwards. I just don't want that today because I can just look around me and see that that's the cause for a lot of people's misery. In my opinion, I can only speak for myself. But you know what? I'm somebody who doesn't mind extending his hand to the next person and said, "Look, man, if you need me for anything, man, I'm available." That's kind of a rare thing today because most people are just selfless. I mean, excuse me, selfish. But you know what? It's not really. It's never about them. It's always about me and Where am I at? And what am I doing with myself? You know, it. When looking at certain situations, there's a there's a certain element to a situation that makes you ask yourself these questions. Is this something that I want? Is this something I value? Or is this going to be some, if that be the case, if the answer is true, what quality and value am I getting out of this? What quality and value can I give to the situation? 'Cause sometimes we're in certain elements to where we don't really belong there. This is just a growing process that we have to go through some bad times in order to appreciate the really good times. Trust me, my life has been full faced, and I lived in different aspects of incarceration, physically, mentally, and emotionally. And you know what? Once I've been there for a couple of decades, it's just not somewhere I really want to go back to. So that being said, for me, it's not just about saying it or advocating it. It's about applying that certain process that which gives me a little bit more freedom on that. Um, I have to say that that is nothing short but amazing compared to where I was at because I was always doom, gloom, miserable. If I came around you, you would probably call the police. Um, that's not the, that's not the case today. The case today is that I have more people around me that I have no idea why do they even want me around, but that's what I'm telling myself. I still deal with those issues of that self talk, but that self talk does not define me today. What does define me is my actions on a constant daily basis, and is that easier said than done. I'm not perfect by any means, but what I do is I try to, once that self talk comes up in a negative way, I try to replace it with something more uplifting, or I just go listen to some Tupac or The Cure, or just anything else to get outside of my head. And I think I'm gonna end this with, this is the conclusion part of part one. I'm going to chime in back on this either tonight after I get off work or tomorrow morning. Like I said, I would really appreciate it if you can like, share, subscribe, and even comment if there's something that you're dealing with, and maybe we can start a conversation in the comment section. I hope everybody has a blessed and wonderful day. And just remember this: if you don't think that nobody loves you, Kelly does.